Greetings, I'm Michael Quinn Patton. This is my review of Evaluation 2022. I'm a former president of the American Evaluation Association and have been involved in the conference every year it's been held. Every year I like to think back on what the highlights were, and this year I'm doing that in the form of this video. The conference was held at the Hyatt in New Orleans, right across the street from the New Orleans Superdome. Part of the context for this meeting was the first face-to-face meeting since 2019 because of the pandemic. And it was interesting to observe the greetings etiquette as people who knew each other were greeting and saying, hey, are you a hugger? Are you a handshaker? Do you do fist bumps? Elbow to elbow? As we worked out how to come together after the hiatus. It's also taking place during the COP27 meeting, where the future of humanity in relationship to the environment was being negotiated. And the Ukraine war is ongoing. The Brazil election had just occurred. The whole world watching as Lula was elected and put Brazil at the vanguard of climate negotiations in COP27. And the Brazilian colleagues at the AEA were very much optimistic about the future of Brazil's contributions to what's going to be happening in the world. And this meeting was taking place during the USA midterm congressional elections, where the US battle as well as the international battle is taking place between those who advocate facts, evidence, truth, data, reality, thinking, the evaluation side of things, versus those mired in post-truth, fake news, alternative facts, make-believe, groupthink, distortions, and outright lies. And it turned out, in the end, to be a pretty good night for the facts side of things. Some of those coming to AEA worked the polls before coming. Stephanie Evergreen tweeted, "People tend to think the midterms don't matter, but they do. I'm up at 4:51 a.m. heading to Precinct 27 in Michigan to help people cast their ballot." And so the American Evaluation Association annual conference took place in a context of deep politicalization, both domestically and internationally, where concerns about equity and sustainability were dominant, both in the US and globally. And that context was seen in the proceedings, deliberations, and presentations of the 2022 American Evaluation Association Conference. And of course, we're meeting just as Elon Musk had purchased Twitter, the future of which is in doubt, and many of the photos I'm about to share in this review are from Twitter and the evaluators who use Twitter as part of our community, for which I am very grateful, as well as those who used LinkedIn and other means of capturing their experiences and sharing them, which I have drawn on and am grateful for. So with that context, and we know how important context is for evaluation, let me turn to the conference. The plenary session opened with a land acknowledgement. And New Orleans jazz. With that energetic opening, Veronica Olazabal took the stage and officially opened the conference. Veronica is the first AEA president to be a woman of color. She chose with her team the conference theme, Reshaping Evaluation Together, and illustrated what it means to co-create and work together through distributed leadership, including choosing not to deliver an individual presidential address, but to feature many different people in the plenary sessions and the presidential strand. The conference had 2,600 attendees, exceeding expectations and the uncertainties of how many would come back given the situation with the pandemic. Many of those present were new evaluators and first-time evaluators and first-time at AEA, with a large number of international participants. And Veronica opened the conference by noting that we are in what's being called a polycrisis, the intersecting, mutually reinforcing, overlapping conferences of the pandemic, the misinformation infodemic, global hunger on the increase, economic turbulence, the climate emergency, and increasing inequities and injustices worldwide. The polycrisis affects how evaluation is done now and will certainly affect it in the future, as another important context for our work. She then introduced Nikki Bowman, who brought forward Edgar Villanueva for the opening plenary session about reshaping evaluation, decolonization, new actors, and the digital age. Nikki and Edgar, both Native Americans, decided to have a conversation rather than to deliver a traditional plenary speech. Edgar Villanueva is author of Decolonizing Wealth and offered guidance, advice, and insights about how evaluators can take seriously decolonization as a part of how we engage in our work. This opening plenary set the stage for what were major AEA conference themes throughout many sessions, concerned with equity, inclusion, diversity, social justice, indigenous evaluation, decolonization, participatory, collaborative, and empowering forms of evaluation, systematic and systemic racism, culturally responsiveness, shared leadership. And what's ironic is that these conference themes and the opening plenary took place in, are you ready for this? Elite Hall. Ironic, it struck me at any rate, Elite Hall, where we're discussing how to reshape evaluation, co-creation of strategic evaluations to shift power, taking place in Elite Hall, and the Empire Ballroom. My own pre-conference workshop took place in Empire C. Tequa, the gift, an indigenous approach to scaling and its implications for evaluation, with Nan Waipahama as the chair, took place in Empire A. Making the case for respecting the rights of indigenous communities, taking place in the Empire and Elite ballrooms. And the Imperial Room. These are just some of the sessions that took place in the Imperial Room. Decolonization of evaluations in Africa, a possibility or rhetoric. Empowerment evaluation, insights, reflections, and implications. Absence, silence, disempowerment. What happens when there's no evaluation? Conducting culturally relevant evaluation through cross-cultural co-evaluation. Centering social justice in computer science curricula. What stories of differently abled Black and Latino computer science students are teaching me about culturally responsive evaluation? The irony, then, it's like the universe, or at least the Hyatt, was sending us the message that dealing with issues of equity and social justice and decolonization will involve confronting things unexpectedly everywhere we look. It's all there all the time. And it's part of what we're going to be taking on if we deal with the conference themes that were highlighted in Evaluation 2022. Let me turn now to diverse, engaging, provocative, creative sessions on reshaping evaluation. One of those was a session in which I was the discussant, where the focus was on the Laudas Foundation's work on rubrics for their international programs in development. Jane Davidson and Tomas Cianca were the evaluators who helped Laudas's evaluation team put together a state-of-the-art, leading-edge framework using rubrics. The website is at the bottom of this slide, and if you're interested in rubrics, what they are, how to do them, how they can be used in program evaluation, this is your go-to site. They've provided all of the information about how they're going about this and will be updating it with their applications through developmental evaluation. And let me call attention to my name badge, a beaded name badge that Nikki Bowman had made for me. You saw a photo of Nikki conducting the opening plenary interview. This beautiful name badge was, however, not good enough to get me into the evening receptions, where I had to pull my AEA name tag out of my pocket to gain entrance through the carefully guarded entrance to the evening receptions. Onward with diverse, engaging, provocative, creative evaluation sessions. Now here's an interesting session, 25 ways to make more inclusive data viz. Who could pack a large room on this topic? Stephanie Evergreen. She tweeted, "This is my room 10 minutes before my session starts. Come grab a spot on the floor." And she didn't disappoint. Jane Davidson tweeted, "Stephanie Evergreen, absolutely rocking the house, as always. 25 great ideas for more inclusive data viz. Something new for all of us. Hundreds of people, standing room only. This stuff clearly resonates with people." And another panel to feature, Evalpreneurs Reshaping the Marketplace Through Innovation and Equitable Business Growth. The coolest presidential panel. Clearly, one has to spotlight the coolest presidential panel. This panel of Nikki Bowman, Nina Sabir, Mindalyn Anderson, and Stephanie Evergreen looked at entrepreneurs running highly successful and values-grounded evaluation businesses. Evalpreneurs, a term created by Nina Sabir in her evaluation consulting work and the basis for her dissertation on the factors related to successful consulting. Deep knowledge of and experience with social impact investing. The private sector seeking returns on investment that involve not just profit, but supporting sustainability and equity has become a major global movement. And there were several sessions on aspects of that, like this one. Katsuchi Imata, a Japanese Evaluation Society founder and Blue Marble evaluator, said during this panel, "We need to ask the question of why we measure before asking how, including and especially in reference to social impact investing." Another related important area is looking at ESG. Companies now feeling an accountability and responsibility, not just for profit, but environmental stewardship, social responsibility, corporate governance, which goes under the terminology and summary ESG. I've done a video on ESG to explain it. The link is there, but it's another major aspect of social impact investing that ran through many sessions in the conference. And that future of being able to engage evaluators with the private sector in looking at the impacts of social impact investing has important implications for the future of equity and sustainability. Some more spotlighted sessions. And now we get to what was really the highlight for me, and that takes the form of what we're calling intergenerational evaluation. The opportunity to be at the conference with my daughter, Charmaine, who's become an evaluator, to go over the program with her, divide up sessions. She helped me decide, based upon her experiences, which sessions to spotlight, and we had the opportunity to meet new people together and for her to meet longtime colleagues. We had the opportunity together at the Meet the Authors reception to discuss the new edition of utilization-focused evaluation that Charmaine is a co-author of, and that very much features her voice and perspective on the issues that this conference has highlighted, issues of sustainability and equity and new directions for the future. And we did a session together on transforming evaluation to evaluate transformation. In that session, she talked about, based on her experiences over the last 10 years, what intergenerational evaluation means, what new and emerging evaluators bring to our profession both now and their promise for the future, and her experiences in doing transformative evaluation. We identified 6 evaluative thinking transformations. That all evaluation should include equity as a criterion, that all evaluation should include sustainability as a criterion, that thinking globally is an issue. Globally is the word for combining global and local. Thinking globally, acting locally and globally, evaluating the interactions. From project and program thinking to systems transformation thinking, major systems change as the evaluand. From theory of change to theory of transformation, and from independence to interdependence, acting with skin and soul in the game. At the end of this video, I'll include references on videos related to these topics. Theory of transformation, transforming evaluation to evaluate transformation, transformative evaluation criteria that illustrate and go deeper into these 6 evaluative thinking transformations. And so to conclude, while sessions are very important for content, for substance, for challenging how we're thinking, for learning new skills, for thinking about the paradigms that we operate in, for learning new approaches, there's a lot that goes on beyond, in between, and around sessions. And I'll close by just highlighting a few of those. Birds of a feather meetings over the luncheon hour allowed those with common interests to come together. As members of the Blue Marble Evaluation Network had a chance for the first time to come together face to face, get to know each other, and discuss the future of the network. This gathering included participants from Japan, Senegal, Pakistan, Canada, Brazil, and the U.S. The conference opened with 65 pre-conference professional development workshops. I did a 2-day workshop on principles-focused developmental evaluation with 60 participants from around the world, over 2/3 of them new to evaluation and at their first AEA meeting, as well as some experienced evaluators learning about new directions for the field. This is the largest professional development opportunity that occurs in the world as a part of the largest annual gathering of evaluators in the world. Jess Dart came from Australia to offer a workshop on most significant change technique. And the opening reception was an opportunity for participants to meet authors of evaluation books and to learn about new books published in the last year. There are lots of opportunities to catch up with colleagues and friends as this group of Claremont University students and faculty got together at the Thursday night reception. And it was a time to remember colleagues we've lost. A group of us who knew George Julnas, editor of the American Journal of Evaluation, a longtime colleague and friend, and toasted his memory and shared stories of his many contributions to the field. The conference also then provided an opportunity to meet the new co-editors of the American Journal of Evaluation, Jory Hall and Laura Peck, and to hear from the Canadian Evaluation Society president, Andrelisa Belzer, who invited participants to the Canadian Evaluation Society meeting in Quebec next year in June. And we went from the invitation from one of the oldest evaluation societies in the world to one of the newest, the birth of the Mongolian Evaluation Association in 2021, and participation in the conference by the president of the Mongolian Evaluation Association and the membership chair. We welcome this newest member of our international evaluation family. And then also a chance to look at the history of our association and of evaluation in a unique exhibit, an opportunity created by Vinja Shankar on the power of perspective, generations of evaluators generating change, a people's history of evaluation. This was an exhibit to which members could contribute and can contribute about the ways in which our history reflects diversity and change. An example from the exhibit, quoting longtime colleague and friend Dr. Hazel Simonet, who said, quote, "Understanding how others perceive us requires moving beyond unilateral self-awareness into multilateral self-awareness in order to enhance authenticity, productivity, and excellence. Such images and judgments are culturally and contextually conditioned, so the figure-ground examination of self in context is crucial." And this perspective from Drs. Hood and Casaro, quote, "When considering the significance of the multiple identities we all have in our lives, it is important to note that our identities are woven together and impossible to examine as purely separate entities. The lived reality of those identities defines who we are and informs how we engage and interpret the world around us." And so this important exhibit, establishing and capturing the history of evaluation change makers, will be a lasting contribution to the evaluation field, even as our field benefits from new change makers like Monique Liston, who founded Ubuntu Research and Evaluation, and who at the international and cross-cultural TIG dance and reception on Thursday night taught this old-timer how to do, once again, the electric slide. The muscle memory finally ticked in, but fortunately we have no video of that dance. Ubuntu Research and Evaluation is an organization of freelance freedom fighters, fostering research-based accountability to create an equitable world. And meeting new people like Monique and others is a part of what makes participating in the American Evaluation Association such a special and highlighted part of my year. The conference ended with Corey Whitmore, incoming president of AEA, and from Alaska, announcing the theme of next year's conference. Here she is, shown with Nikki Bowman, who you saw at the beginning of this video in opening the beginning plenary. And Corey announced that next year's theme will be the power of story. So my thanks to the AEA board and staff for an extraordinary conference coming back together after the hiatus of the pandemic, and special thanks and appreciation to Veronica for her theme, her leadership, her inspiration, and her commitment to our profession and the future. Thank you, Veronica. A final highlight was the opportunity to sing together. At the close of the session on transforming evaluation to evaluate transformation, we sang together the Blue Marble Evaluation Anthem, which premiered at the 2015 annual conference of the American Evaluation Association when Stuart Donaldson was president, and the theme of that meeting was exemplary evaluations in a multicultural world. Stuart was at the session in New Orleans, and we closed by singing again that anthem together. We have a very rough recording of it, but it is a way of spotlighting and highlighting the opportunity of coming together to sing together. Something you can't do on Zoom because only one person can talk or sing at a time. And so here is We Are the World's Evaluators.
We are the world's evaluators. We are the ones who take a global view, evaluating. There's a need we're serving to use a systems lens, evaluating complex changes globally.
So those are some of my highlights from the 2022 annual conference of the American Evaluation Association. Hope to see you in Indianapolis in 2023. Until then, have a great year and continue to work through evaluation for a more equitable and sustainable world.